Yoda. At over 900 years old, Yoda's wisdom was unmatched, but his lightsaber skills were just as formidable. Though small in stature, his blade was a precision weapon, perfectly adapted to his unique fighting style. Yoda wielded a green-bladed shoto lightsaber, a shorter variant of the traditional Jedi weapon. Its compact design, roughly 33 centimeters in hilt length, was crafted to complement his small size while maintaining full functionality. The blade itself extended to just under a meter, giving him reach while allowing for exceptional agility in combat. The hilt was forged from a durable alloy with subtle ridges for grip, featuring a minimalist design with an elegant emitter shroud and no unnecessary flourishes. At its heart, a green Anakin crystal, tuned to channel his deep connection to the Force and his consular nature, focused on wisdom, harmony, and defense. In battle, Yoda used Form 4, a Taru, a fast, acrobatic lightsaber form rarely practiced by older Jedi due to its physical demands. But Yoda's Force-enhanced agility allowed him to leap, flip, and strike with lightning speed, making his small saber a blur of green energy on the battlefield. The most unforgettable display of Yoda's lightsaber mastery came during his duel with Darth Sidious in the Galactic Senate Chamber in Revenge of the Sith. After the fall of the Jedi Order, Yoda confronted the newly declared Emperor in a desperate bid to stop the Sith. The battle was epic. Yoda's green blade clashed with Sidious's red in a whirlwind of speed and power, moving from the Chancellor's office into the very heart of the Senate Rotunda. As Sidious hurled massive platforms like missiles, Yoda deftly deflected them mid-air, combining saber skill with Force mastery. But even with all his power, the darkness had grown too strong. After being overpowered by a surge of Sith lightning, Yoda lost his saber and was forced to retreat. His weapon, like the Republic, fell into shadow, marking the end of an era. Still, that small green blade remains one of the most iconic in Jedi history, a symbol of mastery, humility, and the eternal fight for balance in the Force. Mace Windu. Few lightsabers in Jedi history stand out like Mace Windu's. With its rare amethyst blade, Windu's saber was a reflection of his unique place in the Order, walking the razor's edge between light and dark, order and chaos. The hilt itself was a custom design, unlike the standard issue weapons of most Jedi. Crafted from electrum-plated frick alloy, it featured elegant gold and silver accents, signifying his rank as a senior member of the High Council. The hilt was long, slightly curved at the emitter neck for enhanced control, and balanced perfectly for one-handed or two-handed grips. The core of Windu's saber was powered by a synthetic purple kyber crystal, a rare choice. In lore, George Lucas allowed this variation to signify Windu's moral complexity and power. The blade represented a Jedi who embraced emotional intensity not to fall, but to channel it into a form of combat known as Vapod. Form 7, Vapod, developed and perfected by Windu himself, bordered dangerously on Sith territory. It channeled a duelist's inner darkness and the aggression of opponents into momentum and power. It was a form only Windu truly mastered, and one that made him virtually unstoppable in one-on-one lightsaber combat. That mastery reached its peak in one of the most pivotal moments in galactic history, his duel with Darth Sidious, high above Coruscant in the Chancellor's private office. In the lightning-fast duel that followed, Windu proved himself a superior swordsman, disarming the Sith Lord and holding his blade at Sidious's throat. It was a moment of clarity. The Jedi had won. But fate had other plans. Anakin Skywalker, torn between loyalty and fear, intervened, severing Windu's saber hand in a single stroke. Sidious unleashed a torrent of Force lightning, sending Windu hurtling into the Coruscant skyline. Still, Windu's lightsaber remains a symbol of boldness, discipline, and the limits of Jedi philosophy. A weapon as rare and uncompromising as the man who wielded it, Anakin. Few lightsabers carry as much weight in galactic history as Anakin Skywalker's. Known to many as the Skywalker lightsaber, this elegant, blue-bladed weapon was more than just a Jedi's tool. It became a relic of legacy, loss, and redemption. Anakin constructed this saber during the Clone Wars, replacing the one he lost on Geonosis. The hilt design was sleek and functional, a classic Graflex-style emitter made of alloy with chrome plating, a prominent activation box, and a ridged grip. It was built for both offense and defense, perfectly suited for Anakin's aggressive, adaptable combat style. Inside, a blue kyber crystal, originally sourced from the crystal caves of Ilum, powered the blade. The weapon was tuned to match Anakin's unorthodox mastery of Form 5, Gem So, a power-based fighting style designed to dominate opponents with strength, precision, and counterattacks. Anakin's saber became a familiar sight on the battlefields of the Clone Wars, clashing with droid armies, defending fellow Jedi, and pushing back the darkness. But its most tragic and defining moment came during Order 66 inside the Jedi Temple. As Anakin turned to the dark side under Palpatine's influence, he led the 501st Legion into the heart of the temple. With this very blade, he slaughtered Jedi of all ranks, even the younglings in the temple's sanctuary. That single act transformed the weapon from a symbol of hope into a tool of terror. Yet the blade's story didn't end there. Obi-Wan recovered it from Mustafar after defeating Anakin, and years later, passed it to Luke Skywalker. It would eventually find its way to Rey, connecting generations through one iconic weapon. The Skywalker lightsaber, though built by Anakin, came to represent the full arc of the Force. Light, dark, and the path between, forged by a hero, corrupted by a Sith, redeemed by his son, and ultimately passed on to awaken a new legacy, Obi-Wan. Next on our list is Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi, the negotiator, general of the Clone Wars, and mentor to both Anakin and Luke Skywalker. His lightsaber was every bit a reflection of his identity. Disciplined, measured, and built for absolute control in the chaos of war, Obi-Wan wielded a single-bladed blue lightsaber, a weapon forged with precision and purpose. The hilt was constructed from a reinforced durasteel and alloy composite, with sections plated in agrinium to resist damage from moisture, radiation, and even electromagnetic interference, crucial for years of active duty across the galaxy. Measuring just under 30 centimeters when deactivated, the saber featured a distinctive flared emitter shroud, a thin-necked profile, and a black-ribbed grip, engineered not for flash, but for stability and endurance. Inside, a high-output diadium power cell channeled energy into a finely tuned focusing lens, producing a blade of pure cerulean blue. At its heart was a single Adagan crystal, aligned with the Jedi Guardian path, symbolizing protection, courage, and a readiness to confront darkness head-on. He was a textbook practitioner of Form 3, Soresu, the defensive lightsaber form. His combat style emphasized tight blade movements, efficient deflections, and absolute patience, weathering storm after storm until his opponent faltered. With this saber, Obi-Wan could fight for hours without tiring, holding his ground against overwhelming odds with nothing but composure and calculated precision. And nowhere was this mastery more evident than during the duel on Mustafar in 19 BBY. It was there, on the volcanic surface of Mustafar, that Obi-Wan faced his greatest challenge, Anakin Skywalker, now fallen to the dark side and reborn as Darth Vader. The duel was savage, explosive, and heartbreaking. Vader fought with raw power and emotion. Obi-Wan responded with restraint and flawless technique, using his lightsaber to parry, counter, and survive. The battle raged through control rooms, catwalks, and eventually over rivers of lava. And then came the moment Obi-Wan took the high ground. He gave one final warning, and when Vader leapt to strike him down, Kenobi delivered a single, perfect slash, severing Anakin's limbs and ending the duel. It was a moment that defined not just a Jedi, but the saber he carried. Not flashy, not brutal, but calm, focused, deadly only when absolutely necessary. Obi-Wan Kenobi's lightsaber wasn't just a weapon. It was the embodiment of Jedi discipline, designed for defense, wielded with wisdom, and remembered as a symbol of honor long after the Clone Wars had ended. Luke Skywalker is next on our list, the farm boy who became a Jedi legend, and with him came one of the most iconic weapons in galactic history, a lightsaber that marked the rebirth of the Jedi Order. Luke's second lightsaber, the one he built himself after losing his father's, was a single-bladed green lightsaber, crafted in secret between the events of The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. It was elegant, precise, and symbolic of his growth from apprentice to Jedi Knight. The hilt was constructed from high-grade alloys, modeled loosely after Obi-Wan Kenobi's saber. It featured a thin neck emitter, a slim grip with ridged rings, and a polished activation matrix, simple in design, yet unmistakably Jedi. The internal components were calibrated around a kyber crystal. Luke attuned himself, producing a vibrant green blade, a color traditionally associated with the Jedi consulars, those who favor wisdom, harmony, and force mastery. Luke's saber was powered by a diadium power cell, stabilized with advanced cycling field conductors for optimal energy efficiency. Built from salvaged parts, including components found in Obi-Wan's old hut on Tatooine, the weapon wasn't just functional, it was personal, and it saw action in one of Luke's most defining moments, the rescue of Han Solo from Jabba the Hutt. Hidden inside R2-D2, Luke summoned the saber during the battle above the Sarlacc pit. With a single motion, he ignited the green blade and launched into combat, deflecting blaster fire, dismantling guards, and turning the tide in favor of the rebels. This was the moment Luke Skywalker stepped fully into his role, not just as a warrior, but as a Jedi. His lightsaber wasn't about power, it was about choice, conviction, and a legacy carried forward. Revan. Next on our list is Revan, one of the most enigmatic Jedi in galactic history. Long before he wore a mask and led the Sith into war, he was a Jedi Knight of unmatched brilliance, and during that time, he wielded a lightsaber worthy of his legend. In his Jedi era, Revan carried a single-bladed blue lightsaber, a weapon forged not just for combat, but as a symbol of his dedication to justice and the Republic. Unlike the ornate sabers of some of his peers, Revan's saber was practical and tactical, streamlined for versatility on the battlefield. The hilt was made from durasteel and cortosis weave alloys, giving it both durability and a degree of resistance to other lightsabers. Measuring around 28 centimeters when inactive, it featured a no-nonsense design, a knurled grip for control, a recessed activation stud, and a standard emitter shroud, efficient and reliable, much like Revan himself during his Jedi campaigns. Inside, a blue Anakin crystal, most likely sourced from Ilum, served as the saber's heart. It produced a crisp, stable blade, emblematic of the Jedi Guardian path Revan followed, courageous, action-oriented, and willing to fight for the greater good. This saber was by his side throughout the Mandalorian Wars, where Revan led Republic forces against the Mandalorian Neo-Crusaders. One of the saber's most iconic uses came during the Battle of Malachor V, where Revan struck down Mandalore the Ultimate, effectively ending the war, though at great spiritual cost. That act would mark the turning point, but at that moment, Revan was still a Jedi, using his saber as a beacon of resolve and victory. His lightsaber wasn't just a tool of war, it was a symbol of bold action, of a Jedi who didn't wait for the Council, but chose to act. Cal Kestis. Cal Kestis' lightsaber is a symbol of survival and resilience, forged in the aftermath of the Jedi Purge. Standing at about 11 inches in length, the hilt is compact and functional, perfectly suited for the agile fighting style Cal adopts after the fall of the Jedi Order. Unlike the sleek, refined sabers of the Jedi, Cal's weapon bears the marks of countless battles. Its surface is rough and weathered, bearing deep scratches and signs of repairs, as if each dent tells a story of a life lived on the run. The hilt is crafted from a combination of durable metal and scavenged materials, pieces from his journey through a galaxy in turmoil. Despite its worn appearance, the lightsaber is a finely tuned weapon. The hilt houses a kyber crystal, the heart of every Jedi weapon. Cal's crystal, a deep blue in hue, resonates with the energy of his connection to the Force. The blade, when ignited, flickers with a steady blue glow, a representation of his past as a Jedi and his continued commitment to the light despite everything he's lost. The blade itself is shorter than many Jedi lightsabers, offering precision and quick strikes, ideal for Cal's combat style, which blends defense with rapid, agile offense. This nimble design makes it perfect for tight spaces and fast-paced encounters, something Cal relies on during his numerous confrontations with the Empire. More than just a weapon, Cal's lightsaber represents the journey from Padawan to Survivor. It has been with him through some of his most defining moments, from his escape from Order 66 to his battle on Ilum against the Second Sister. In that fateful duel, Cal not only fought for his own survival, but also for the future of the Jedi Order itself. As the blade clashed against the second sisters, it embodied Cal's evolution, a symbol of his persistence to keep fighting no matter the odds, and his unwavering belief that the Jedi's light could never truly be extinguished. Satele Shan. Next on our list is the legendary Jedi Grandmaster Satele Shan, a direct descendant of both Revan and Satele Shan. Her lightsaber was as refined and formidable as her lineage, designed not just for elegance, but for battle at the highest level. Satele wielded a double-bladed green lightsaber, a saber staff forged for precision, flexibility, and raw effectiveness. The hilt was constructed from durable frick alloy, making it resilient against lightsaber strikes and even Sith-forged weapons. Measuring about 50 centimeters when deactivated, it featured dual emitters, one on each end, capable of activating independently. That meant she could fight with one or both blades depending on the situation. Inside, 2 independent diadium power cells ensured a stable energy flow to each blade. The emitters themselves were fine-tuned for superior blade cohesion, giving her saber a tight, balanced feel even during the most intense clashes. The green hue of the blade wasn't just aesthetic, it represented her mastery of the consular path, wisdom, diplomacy, and a deep connection to the Force. In combat, Satele combined the mobility of Form 4, Ataru, with Jarkai-style maneuvers, using the saber staff like an extension of her own body. Her strikes were fast, precise, and often enhanced by Force abilities like push, leap, and burst movement, blending martial skill with raw Force power. But the most iconic moment for Satele and her lightsaber came during the Battle of Alderaan, around 3653 BBY. In this critical confrontation, she led Republic forces against the might of the Sith Empire and faced off directly with Darth Malgus. The duel was brutal. Malgus, towering and relentless, pushed Satele to the limit, but she countered with grace and raw power, deflecting his savage blows with expert saber staff control. Then, in one of the most memorable scenes in Old Republic history, Satele launched herself into the air with the Force, recalled her saber mid-flight, and unleashed a massive Force wave that shattered the ground around them, saving her allies and forcing Malgus to retreat. It was a perfect display of everything her saber stood for: control, adaptability, and the Jedi's enduring strength. As we've seen, each lightsaber tells its own story, whether it's the elegance and wisdom of Yoda's shoto, the intense power of Mace Windu's amethyst blade, or the tragic journey embodied by Anakin Skywalker's once heroic saber. From the legendary Jedi Masters to the survivors of the Jedi Purge, each weapon reflects not just the wielder's combat style, but their path in the Force. What makes these lightsabers so unforgettable isn't just their design or their combat prowess, it's the choices made by those who wielded them. These weapons were used in some of the most pivotal moments in galactic history: duels that shaped the fates of empires, battles that determined the future of the Jedi, and moments of personal transformation that defined entire legacies. In the end, these lightsabers are more than just tools. They're symbols of the eternal struggle between light and dark, discipline and passion, hope and despair. Whether through mastery, redemption, or survival, each Jedi and their weapon left an indelible mark on the galaxy. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and force push the notification button.